All right, one of the questions I get asked a lot is, are gold and silver headed for a correction? And we'll discuss this in a second. Remember that discussion of any CUSIP or security is for discussion purposes only. Do not buy any security mentioned in this playlist unless you perform your due diligence. Note that I purchased shares of Lehman Brothers 3 days before it collapsed, so anyone following me into a trade is taking excessive risk and may lose significant financial value. In addition, at the time of this video, I may or may not own shares of the company mentioned and may or may not have kept those shares depending on what circumstances changed. Last time I looked, the gold to oil ratio is 24. Gold is at $1,200 an ounce, and oil is at $50 to $51 a barrel, around that range. It's about 24. If the past is a guide, and that's a huge if, the ratio of gold to oil is unsustainable. 24 is too high. It has gone above 24, but it doesn't stay above 24 on a regular basis. And you can look at a graph and you'll see, I would say, I mean, I'm doing an eyeball here, but eyeballing it, let me pull up the graph. Not present time included, but you're talking about, I'm talking about less than 20% of the time it's been above 24 in the last 50 years, 60, no, 70 years. So in the last 70 years, gold, let's say 20%. Gold has been above, has been higher than a 24 gold to oil ratio. 20% of the time it's been above 24, that gold to oil ratio, that is. Okay, less than 20% of the time. But let's say 20%. What that means is something's got to give. Either gold is going to go down or oil is going to go up, or they're both going to go up, but oil is going to go at a higher percentage up, meaning it's going to increase faster. Gold will go up 1%, oil will go up 3%, and so on and so forth, right? There's something very unsustainable about that. So is gold and silver headed for a correction? Possibly. The reason why I don't think it's yet is because it's not a good time to buy generally stocks or gold and silver until everybody's screaming to sell, right? Aha! And the problem is everybody's screaming to buy. That means there's too much of a bull market. It's just not, it's not over. So until I start to see all these gold shops around here close, I'm thinking it's still overpriced. And people will think I'm crazy, but it's like you don't buy when everybody knows to buy. Right now everybody's avoiding Russia. Well, what stock market is up this year? And it may go down some, but again, what stock market is underpriced? It's riskier to buy the S&P 500 than Russia, just because of the price, right? And when people, by the way, tell you that price doesn't matter, I don't agree. So people are buying gold and silver because of debasement of currencies, but there's a lot of different things you could buy to prevent debasement of currencies, and in fact, they're very cheap right now. So that's not the most effective way to prevent debasement of your currency anyway. So there may be a correction, okay? I don't know. Jim Rogers thinks there is. Jim Rogers was saying that it might go down to 900 an ounce, which would be a 50% fall because most things do. That's possible. After having said that, when I look at things, I look at the dollar index is at 96, gold is at 1,200 an ounce, oil's at 50. Something about that doesn't add up. And it's very difficult. The probability of gold going higher is less to me than the probability of oil going higher. And so if somebody put a gun to my head and said, you have to buy one or the other, gold or oil, I would say oil is more underpriced than gold is. That's the way I would go with that. After having said that, that's the way I would trade. Somebody might buy gold because to them it's like, I'm betting against currency debasement, who cares? So we'll see what happens in the long run, but they could be headed for a correction, and if they do fall, I wouldn't be surprised, and the reason is I'm looking at these other factors. Always consider those other factors too when you're thinking about, could there be a correction in something?